In Des Moines, I attended Roosevelt Junior High and high school, as I previously said. During my senior year, I signed up with the Army Air Corps to go through aviation cadets. And they said that I could have a year of college before I had to go on active duty. But so I started college at Iowa State University. They had a 5-year program for being a civil engineer in forestry, and I thought that's what I wanted to do. However, during summer school, I was notified that I could have just the fall term, and then I'd have to go on active duty. So the folks wanted me to live at home, so I signed up at Drake University. In February of '44, I went on active duty, and basic training was at Keesler Field, Mississippi. There were 400 of us that were all hoping to be commissioned in the Army Air Corps. But the very first day when we were lined up, they said, look at the guy on your right and look at the guy on your left, and neither one of them will be there when you finish. And that was no idle threat. Out of 400 of us, only a little over 60 made it all the way through. They graded us on what BNP, Bombardier, Navigator, and Pilot, and you had to have a total of 25 points to advance. I had 26, so I just made it. We were then sent to my group to the University of Florida for summer school, and that was quite an experience. We had long hikes and lots of parading to do, and it was hot, and the cockroaches in our rooms were fantastic. They'd fly all over, and we move our beds out from the wall because at night they fly into the wall and drop into bed with us, so we'd bring them out. Then we were transferred to Stuttgart, Arkansas, where we worked on AT-10s, and my next stop was in Smyrna, Tennessee, where we worked on B-52s. It was quite interesting. We were just sort of a manpower pool waiting for pre-flight to open up so that we could ride with the B-52s whenever they went out on their training missions if we wanted to, but it soon got kind of boring just to sit in that plane. Frequently they used Des Moines as their target from Smyrna, Tennessee, and I was always hoping that they'd have motor trouble and have to land in Des Moines, but it never happened. Pre-flight finally opened up. Oh, I should say that when I was at the University of Florida, we got training in Arancas, and I did not do very well with my 10-hour check ride. I came in for a perfect 3-point landing way too high, so that I did not get to solo. But I finished pre-flight then at Maxwell Field, Alabama, and had signed up for B-29 flight engineer school, and that would have involved an additional 2 years tour, but my papers came through to be discharged, so I was inducted at Camp Dodge, but that was closed, so I was to be discharged in Sioux City. One of my big gripes was the troop train taking us to Sioux City stopped in Chicago, and we were too young to have a drink in a bar. We had to be 21, and most of us were younger than that. That really griped us. At Sioux City, one of my buddies was from Sioux City, and I do remember that he lined me up a date with Sioux City Sue, and that was quite an experience. They gave us money from where we were discharged to wherever we were inducted, so I got enough money to go from Sioux City to Des Moines, but my folks had moved to Alaska. When Dad got a job as OPA for the territory of Alaska, and when they moved up there, while I was in the service, they said I could keep my guns or my golf clubs, but they weren't going to take both to Fairbanks, and Fairbanks only had a 3-hole golf course at that time, so I said to keep my guns. It was very interesting. The kid in the orderly room said, "Don't fret, I'll give you a bogus set of papers to be discharged at Fairbanks, and you can ride the Army planes up there." And we would ride them. We would be eligible on a casual basis, which meant that if they had room, you could go, and if they didn't have room, they'd bump you. But I did get to a ride from Sioux City to Edmonton, and I got bumped in Edmonton and had to go to the casual barracks, and we were there for quite a few days and nothing opened up, so we decided to go into town, several of us, and of course that was when the plane had room for us, so the ones of us that went to town ended up on KP for a week. Quite interesting, because I'd already been discharged, but they didn't know it. We had a shakedown inspection by a major, and when he came through the barracks, he looked at what I had and said, "You're going to Alaska and you don't have any winter clothes?" He gave me a slip to go to quartermaster and check out some winter clothes. I still have one of the parkas that I had at that time. I got 2 parkas, all kinds of winter underwear, long johns, mucklucks, so I was really well prepared, but it was very difficult for me to carry all of that. At Fairbanks, got off the plane, got a ride into town, and my folks were living in Denali Court, which was out on the edge of Fairbanks at that time. Fairbanks was quite a place then. It was a city, or I guess you could call it a city, of 5,500, with the rule that there could only be 1 bar for every 100 people, so that there were 55 bars in Fairbanks at that time. I liked living there. At night we could hear the wolves howl, and that was very interesting. I got there at Christmas time.